Hello, ladies and guys who like lady stuff. I am Candace Harper, love coach. I'm also a heart healer and the creator of the Creative Love Collective, and also a depression, anxiety, and heartbreak survivor. And if you've been through any of those things, you know exactly what I mean. If you've also survived it too. I'm also an on camera TV expert and a blogger. I do lots of things. Anyway, I'm really glad that you're here because since you're here, you're either on YouTube or you have opted in to my newsletter, which means you're going to get all kinds of information for how to go from heartbroken to happy. And if you came through my funnel, you know that I'm going to give you the 5 steps to go from heartbroken to happy. If you're on YouTube, you know that you can click on the link down below so that you can get in here, get in this newsletter, and get your 5 steps. Anyway, before I do that, I'm really excited that you're taking this trip with me. It's going to be a fantastic journey. It's going to be worth the trip because by the end of it, you will know how to go from heartbroken to happy. I guarantee. So, first of all, it's important that you eliminate all distractions. Get rid of your cell phone. I mean, don't get rid of it altogether. Just put it someplace. Put it on airplane mode. Put it on someplace where you won't be distracted. Don't try to play video games and, do whatever. That's what I do when I watch YouTube. That's what I do when I watch videos. But trust me, you are going to get so much value in this video, you will be pissed at yourself if you sat there the whole time playing Angry Birds or Snoopy Pop or, whatever people are playing right now. I play Snoopy Pop. Anyway, if you spend this whole video doing that, you're going to be angry at yourself because then you're going to miss all the fun. Then you're going to have to replay it, and then it's going to take way more time than it needs to. So get rid of all distractions, turn off all devices that you are not watching this on. Hopefully you're just watching it on one device, and have a paper and pen ready because we are going to get into this. It's going to be fantastic, and I have so much to share with you. Thank you for being here. So now before I get into these 5 steps, and I know the 5 steps are what you really want to hear, first of all, let me just tell you what the rundown is going to be. I'm going to talk to you about the 10 beliefs that we tend to share, top 10, because I'm sure there's tons of them, that we tend to share with our girlfriends and kiki about and talk about with our friends that are sabotaging our ability to be happy in our love life, whether you're single or in a relationship. Because let me tell you something. I am so sick of the get a man to be happy narrative. I'm so sick of the love gurus who are selling the way to find the soulmate, find your perfect one, find the mate, find the twin flame, all that bullshit. Because let me tell you something, you can find a relationship right at this moment if you really, really want it. And if you decide you're ready, you could have a relationship right now. But if you haven't healed your heart and you're coming from a place of not loving yourself enough, not having a high deserve level, getting in fights with people on the train, having conflicts at work, having conflicts with your parents, conflicts with your siblings, all kinds of unrest going on, always an anxiety, always the damsel in distress about bullshit, then you're going to attract somebody who is just like you in their own kind of way. And so in as much as you can use all the tips and tricks and bring somebody into your life, what I want to do is be healed first. And have you healed first, inspired to be whole, perfect, and complete, and know you are, because you already are, but know that you are whole, perfect, and complete, and already happy so that you can attract that. That's what you want to bring into your life. You can get a man anytime. You can have dick anytime you want. Trust me. It's the blessing of being a lady. Anyway, we're going to talk about the 10 beliefs that we share with all our friends, the stuff we kiki about, the stuff that we agree on, that we walk around believing that sabotages our ability to go from heartbroken to happy, sabotages our ability to have a really fun dating experience or a really great relationship. I've believed them for a long time. We're conditioned to believe them. Our mothers tell us these beliefs. Then we're going to talk about the 10 beliefs that we sort of form on our own, or that society tells us or come from our ideologies that we tend to keep a secret, that we don't share with anybody. So nobody even knows that we think these sorts of things about ourselves. So we're going to do that. And then I am going to show you my special love grid. And on this love grid, you are going to be able to pinpoint exactly where you are in your love life right now. It doesn't matter, single, relationship, ecstatic, suicidal. Wherever you are, you're going to find your place on the grid. And then you're going to find where you want to be on the grid. And it's going to seem like it's this chasm, like it's this big, huge gap that you have to get across. However, there are 5 steps, count them, 5 steps, which I'm going to give to you at the end. So if you stick it out all the way through, you're going to get those 5 steps so that you can know how to go from where you are right now to where you want to be, having exactly what you want. And the only reason that I know you don't necessarily have exactly what you want is because you wouldn't be watching this video if you did. All right, so let's get started right now. But wait a second. I didn't even tell you who I am. I mean, you know I'm Candace Harper, love coach, heart healer, leader of the Creative Love Collective, and depression, anxiety, and heartbreak survivor, also TV expert and blogger, but you don't know who I am. And I feel like if I'm going to be sharing with you things that I know and things to inspire you, you're going to have to know a little bit about me. So the reason I became a love coach is because I strongly believe, and I say this all the time because it's so ingrained in me, that our purpose is where our talents and our passions meet our challenges. So one of my biggest challenges in my life has been my love life. And the reason is, there's a lot of reasons why, but a lot of it had to do with my relationship with myself and how I loved myself. And at different times in my life, whether it was a sense of entitlement or a sense of really knowing who I am, or a sense of just not seeing myself as enough, being too much of a perfectionist and giving myself way too hard of a time, different stages of my life, I've had different challenges being in relationships with different people based on what was going on with me internally. So when I decided to become a coach, I decided that my purpose was to inspire happiness and self-love in myself and in other women. And one thing that I noticed as soon as I started my love coach training and as soon as I started taking on clients is that it always came down to our love lives, our careers and our love lives, because how we do one thing is how we do anything. So if you're struggling in your love life, it's very likely that you are struggling with relationships at work, that you are struggling with losing weight, or something that has to do with your internal relationship with yourself, because everything we do is an offshoot of that. So for me, the big struggle was that because I was in different places over the course of my life for how I viewed myself, in each different place, I attracted someone who was the perfect mirror for how I viewed myself. And the times that I did not love myself, I attracted other people who did not know how to love me because I had no way of knowing how to teach them, and also did not love themselves. And what happens when you get in situations like that? You end up with abuse. And whether it was my abuse behavior or their abuse behavior, it was toxic and it was terrible. And the reason that I don't preach the get a man to be happy narrative like so many dating and relationship experts do is because I know, like, if you are currently or if you have ever been in a bad relationship, you know that having an authentically happy love life has nothing to do with whether that person is in your life or not. And it takes a whole lot more than like some great pictures that you add on social media or just walking down the aisle to say that you have a great relationship. It takes love and work and contribution, and it takes coming from a place of already being filled up. So that is why I don't preach the get a man to be happy narrative. What I do preach is the be happy and then attract what is attracted to happiness narrative. And also, the reason that I say that I am a depression and anxiety and heartbreak survivor is because I've been challenged by all of those things my entire life, even when I didn't know it. And mainly, a lot of the heartbreak came from being in a space of not loving myself enough, attracting somebody else who didn't love themselves, and ending up in an abusive relationship. An abusive relationship where I had miscarriages, there was violence, there was verbal abuse, and it really left me destroyed, heartbroken. And if you've ever been through a bad relationship and a bad breakup, and you still have emotions and feelings, and it's not something you can just shut off and then read a book and learn some tips and tricks and then go into a great relationship. It takes work, it takes healing, it takes time with yourself. So for me, I had to learn how to heal. I had to learn how to heal myself. I had to learn how to heal my other relationships in my life with other people. I had to learn how to heal the relationships with my family. I had to learn how to heal what I was doing in my business in order to get to a space where I could attract someone that was also healed and also knew that they were whole and perfect and complete, just like you are, just like I am now, just like I've always been, but just didn't know it. So the reason that I became a love coach and the reason that I do what I do, the reason that I'm going to share these beliefs with you is that I am so connected to the fact that my purpose is to inspire myself and other women to understand that happiness is something that you yourself can generate, and that whatever you are experiencing right now, you have the power, you have the control, you have the emotional intelligence to change it all around and make it be exactly what you want. And it might seem like right now you're doing everything you know to do and everything you can possibly do, but if it's not working, it's because you're operating through heartbreak. Now, when I say that word heartbreak, people automatically assume that it's like lying in a fetal position and mainlining gelato and shoving potato chips in your mouth through the tears. But that's not always what heartbreak looks like. I mean, that's the dramatic version of it. That's the romantic comedy version of it. And sometimes we do end up that way. But what heartbreak really looks like, it's one bad relationship after another. It's not trusting yourself. It's not trusting your own intuition and picking one bad partner after another. It's being angry all the time or feeling a sense of doom, feeling like something's going to go wrong. It's conflicts with people in your family, not being able to get along with your mother. It's a lot of things, heartbreak. And when we don't deal with it and we don't do anything about it, an entire life can be lived in a state of hoping that something's going to happen to make it better. Something outside of us is going to make it better. And if there's one thing that I learned above all the things that I've learned through my coaching training and through my own transformation and through my own awareness of how I could turn the situation around, turn the pain around, it's that we do have the power to have a different experience than whatever it is it has us down, whatever has us depressed and anxious. And I'm not saying go off your medication if you're on depression medication. I was diagnosed with depression and anxiety. I chose not to take medication because I do believe that a change of mindset can make a difference. It's not that it doesn't still challenge me, but I also have a whole toolbox of emotional tools that I can use to be happy again and to maintain my happiness in a consistent way. And not an oblivious, the world is perfect kind of happiness, but a very faithful, trusting, knowing that I have the power to change whatever I need to change, knowing that whatever I cannot change, then there is the universe and there is God. And if you don't believe in God, there is your belief in the fact that it's proven that you've made it this far, whether it's that you pay your own bills and are independent, take care of yourself, you're still alive and healthy, you're living somewhere you love, the good things that are going on in your life. If you're well enough that you're on this computer right now and you're watching this and you feel like you just want to fix your love life, you have enough blessings that you have proof that it's all going to be okay. So now it's about functioning out of knowing that it's going to be okay. I mean, imagine living your life knowing that it's all going to be better than okay and that you have the power to do it. So now that's just a little bit about my philosophy. That's a little bit about me. It's how I became a love coach because I believe so strongly in these things. And it is my mission to have every woman I come across walk away more inspired, loving herself more, understanding how she can generate her own happiness and attracting exactly what she wants in her love life. And that sometimes is nothing. But most of the time it's not. So let's get started. Let's start talking about these 10 beliefs that we are walking around with that are causing our high level insecurity, our fear, and our mistrust in our current relationships, our self-sabotage when we start dating somebody new, the things that have us second guessing ourselves and picking all the wrong guys. Okay, so here are some of the shared beliefs. These are the ones that we talk about with our friends, right? We buddy up and we're like, ah, ha, ha, ha. Statistics, that the statistics are not in my favor. There's way more single women than men. There's no good men out there. All the good ones are taken. Like, that belief is like a pervasive poison that we talk about, and we feel like there's so much proof around because we're not meeting a handsome, fantastic prince every day. Let me tell you about that belief. First of all, scientifically, yeah, statistically, you go to the census, there may be a whole lot more single women out there than there are single men. First of all, you're not competing with all the single women out there for the single men. It doesn't work like that because a lot of those single women aren't even relationship viable. A lot of those single men aren't even relationship viable. If you think in terms of the statistics, it's like we're playing a big game of dodgeball and, it's us against them. And that's just not how it works. Like in your individual life and individually what you are capable of attracting, if you believe that you have the power to do this, is exactly who you need at any given time. And sometimes that is not somebody who is viable for a relationship. But when you are viable, that's what you will attract. You will attract other, and the people that the people you know on social media, all those people with their great wedding pictures and all of those things, and there's no guarantee that their relationships are going to work out, but what they've attracted is exactly what they are ready for and what they are viable for. So if you walk around with the belief that there's just not enough out there, that's exactly what will be true for you. That's exactly what your experience will be. There's just not enough out there. So here's why there is enough out there, because people are getting married every day. People are finding people they love every single day. And for where you are right now, there's millions that you could possibly date and meet you where you are right now. That's why it's best to be coming from a happy place and not worrying about what you think are the statistics or what you think is stacked against you, because it's only stacked against you if you believe it's stacked against you. The next one is the I do or I don't want to have the kind of relationship my parents had. So if you're walking around trying to model a relationship, it is good we get relationships modeled for us as we're growing up. Especially if you have solid ones where, it works out and they stay together and they really love each other and support each other, I think that is a great thing. However, if you think that you can emulate someone else's relationship, whether it's your parents or not, or if you think that you can rebel emotionally and have a completely different situation and be in control of that, then you're going about it in a way that is completely unproductive for who you are. If what you're trying to do is actually control the situation and make sure that you don't see anything that looks like something you've seen before, or that you're trying to create things that you've seen before, there's no authenticity in that. You're not your mother. You're not your father. He's not your father. He's not your mother. The idea here is that you are creating something new with someone new. And if you're not about getting into a relationship or in a relationship right now, as a single person, it's like authentically, what do you want for you? You are a different person who grew up in a different era with different likes and dislikes and different needs and different purpose, different passions, different talents. Maybe you have some things in common, with your parents or whoever raised you. But if you're trying really hard right now to emulate something you've seen, that is the road to heartbreak. So it's all about just, figuring out what's right for you and getting into your own authenticity. And we're going to talk about that later when I talk about the 5 steps. So here's another belief that we tend to share, and I've done it myself, especially when I was like dating bad boys. With bad boys, you can't even call it dating. It's like Netflix and chill. It's like, having sex is like the dick life. Like that's all you're about when you're dating a bad boy, because that's all they come with. That's all they offer. So this half-ass thing I have with this hot guy is fine for now. I've heard that so many times, maybe not in those particular words. I paraphrased a little bit, but really just settling for this, I had one of my clients, she broke her foot and then she called the guy up who she's been sleeping with, and it's like, oh, I really need somebody to come over, bring me some food, hang out with me a little bit. Nah, I'm busy. Because you know what? He doesn't think of her like that. That's not the kind of relationship that they had. But all along, she's like, well, this is good enough. I don't really need to be in a relationship. Is it? Is it really good enough? Because, things happen. Sometimes you break your foot. Sometimes you get sick. Sometimes you hurt yourself. Sometimes you need somebody to support you and help you out. So if what you really want is a relationship, and what you really want is to feel fulfilled in your love life, alone or together, is this half-ass thing with this hot guy fine for now? Is it really? Life is short. Just saying. It's just a self-sabotaging belief. That's all. No judgments. You got to get your pipes cleaned. Get your pipes cleaned. So here's another one. I'm focusing on work right now. Really? And I've said this, so, don't get me wrong. I'm not saying these things like, oh, I'm above it and I don't believe these things myself, or I've never had these thoughts and beliefs myself. I'm focusing on work right now is like the ultimate cop-out. Because, first of all, like I said, how we do one thing is how we do everything. So, whatever's going on at work, this work that you're tunnel vision focusing on, I can almost guarantee you that you're not taking good care of yourself. You're probably overworked. You probably hate it on some level. And you know that deep down it's not 100% fulfilling. Like, and I'm not trying to shame anybody who's a career person. Trust me, I'm all about my career. I'm all about building my business. I'm all about making something out of myself. And I had a long television career as an art director, and I actually just lived that job. Couldn't have a decent relationship while I was doing that. And my thing was, I'm focusing on work right now. Well, when work stopped focusing on me, I was left with an aging Pomeranian and nothing to do during the days. So you got to think about that. Like, what is it you really want in your life, and why can't you have all of it? Right? Okay, so here's another one. I'm not the type that men usually chase or commit to. I've had a couple clients that come with that, and it usually has something to do with some sort of external judgment, some kind of hard time that you're giving yourself, some story you have that you're not enough on the inside. And a lot of times we'll say that to our girlfriends, our best girlfriends, like, oh, I don't feel thin enough right now. I don't feel pretty enough. Maybe if I lose a few pounds, I might actually get back into the dating scene. All of that stuff is it's a cop out. It's a way to not deal with what's really going on deep down, which is like, I don't feel good enough. And I don't feel good enough. I don't feel happy inside. I don't know how to generate my own happiness. I don't know how to generate my own sort of solid trust and belief in myself to be able to go and share myself with someone else. And listen, ladies, there's nothing wrong here. I'm not saying all this stuff to make you feel wrong about it, because it's not wrong. It's what you've been through. It's not your fault. We're human. What we do is we make meaning out of things and we protect ourselves from hurt. And that's all we know to do, right? Unless we actually get really aware and, really do something to try to transform it and have a different experience, which is what I'm talking about right now. So, yeah, if you're walking around thinking you're not the type, there's a cap for every bottle. And that's just as bad as the scarcity belief. It's true if you make it true. If you make it true in your mind, that's exactly what your experience is going to be. So when some guy who you would be attracted to thinks that you're amazing, you're busy telling yourself the story, I'm not the girl, I'm not the one, and you're going to behave out of that belief. I'm not the girl, I'm not the one, so let me act like I'm your buddy. I'm not the girl, I'm not the one, so let me talk to you about your love life as if I'm your advisor. I'm not the girl, I'm not the one you're going to be attracted to, so, let me buddy up with you and let's talk about sports. So, that's such a sexist thing I just said. But, we do that and we kind of sabotage what could possibly be someone being very interested in us. They're talking to us or they're interacting because they actually do find us interesting or they do actually like us. But through the story of I'm not the type, we missed the boat. So what's another one? Most men find me intimidating or too independent. Now, I've said this one. And I have felt this one before. But it's not that it's most men. What it is it's men who are not at your level. Because any man who's at your level, and by level, I'm not talking about class level. I'm not talking about monetary level. I'm talking about transformational emotional intelligence level. So a man who feels good about himself, feels solid in who he is confident, loves a woman who feels good about herself, is solid in who she is, and is confident. People who love themselves love other people who love themselves. People who hate themselves attract other people who hate themselves, and they just like bump misery together. And I've done that many times myself. So it's not that they find you too intimidating or independent, or that's the words that they use. What they're seeing is that you are someone they can't meet up to. Now, it's possible that if you're coming from that belief that you're behaving in a way that is off-putting, because it's just like with the I'm not the type of woman that men usually date. If you are behaving in a way that, you think that men find you intimidating or too intelligent or too accomplished, if that's how you're behaving, then that's kind of not sexy either. So, see how what we believe manifests our experience. That's what I'm coming down to. So then here's another one. I'm out there, so I'll just know when I meet them. I've heard this so many times from women who never meet anybody they like. And what I believe about this belief is that it's another way to cop out. It's another way to not deal with what you'd really have to deal with to allow someone to get close to you. It's another way to not have to deal with real intimacy But it's also another way to just completely just take no responsibility whatsoever for having a great love life. Oh yeah, I want to have a relationship, so let me just be out there. He'll come along when he comes along. Now, the other side of that is I'm not saying, oh, you got to get in control and you got to date a certain number of people and you got to be like, really regimented about it, get organized. I'm not saying that that's the alternative. But what I'm saying is that if you're in your mind not really authentically in touch with who you are and who he is, because you can invent who he is before you even meet him. If you're not really sort of in touch with all of that stuff, and really clear on what is right for you, then you're not going to recognize him when he comes along, when you have no clarity. Clarity is what will help you recognize him. So yeah, be out there, but be out there really clear. So if some, dickhead comes up to you and he's, acting like nonchalance or whatever, and he's, a fifth grader about trying to meet you and, is giving all kinds of red flags and he's not actually asking you out on a date, but, you meet him online or whatever and he's talking about come over and let's get naked, whatever, and that's not what you really want, then you can be solid. That's where the intuition and listening to your intuition thing comes up. Because when you're clear, when you're crystal clear, your intuition is like right on the money. Like, no, that's not what I want. No big deal, no big conflict, no big pain. That's just not it. But when you're just out there with no clarity, I'm going to meet him when I meet him. That's what you do. You just meet this dude over here and this dude over here and this other person over here, and nothing really pans out, and that's what you get. So here's another one. I don't want or need a relationship. Now, this is a very, very slippery slope, because I'll tell you this. Financially, you may not need a relationship, and to live your life and do the things you want to do, you may not need a relationship. And like I said, I still don't believe in the get a man to be happy narrative. However, if we're honest with ourselves, first of all, you wouldn't even be here watching this video if you didn't want a relationship somewhere deep down. Even if you are hardcore feministic and you're like, fuck all the men, I can do this on my own, you would not be watching this video if there was not a part of you that's saying, you know what? I actually do want to have a connection with somebody who is loving and supportive and a friend to me, somebody that I can care for and cares about me. Like, I actually really do want that in my life. If there's not something, and that's something within you, really what that something within you is saying, develop a solid relationship with yourself. Give yourself the things that you would like somebody else to be able to come along and give you, so that when they come, you will have something to contribute. That's what that voice is, that little voice that says, I do want a relationship. I really, really do. That's your little voice that's really saying, I want to love myself. I want to have love in my life. I want to feel supported. I want to feel great. I want to feel connected. So get connected. Get connected with you so that you can attract it, right? Relationships are just too hard for me. That's another one of those beliefs. Like, oh, I can't do this. Other people can do it, but I can't. I actually had this one for a long time. I can't. It's not me. I'm not a wife. I'm not a this. I'm not a that. You're whoever you create yourself to be. You're whoever you decide you're going to be in any given moment. Whatever identity you think you want to claim, you say, oh, I'm somebody who, never lies. I'm somebody who, loves to shop. I'm somebody, whatever. That's all stuff you made up. Maybe somebody else told you, oh, I'm good at singing, I'm good at this, I'm good at that. Maybe somebody put it in your mind at some point, but for the most part, you believed it or you made it up and you decided that's who you were. Same thing goes for your relationship. Whoever you want to be in a relationship is who you can create yourself to be. I want to be loving and giving and, a contribution and supportive, and that's what I want to experience. So let me be that. Because I'm a human being and I have the ability and I have the power. We all have it. Amazingly enough, it's something you get to choose. However, you can't choose it from a space of having a broken heart. I don't know how to really drive that home about the heartbreak thing. And that's another symptom of knowing your heart is broken, when you think that you're so attached to your identity and who you think you are and what you think your limitations are, that you just don't have what you want, which doesn't have to be that way. So here's the very last one, the top of the top 10. The ones that I hear the most often, and I'm sure you can come up with some of your own, and hopefully as I've been going along, you've been sort of ticking off the ones that resonate with you, the ones that you've either said before, maybe not word for word, but are close to what you believe. But the top one is, I don't have time for anyone else's issues because I am dealing with enough of my own. Well, hello. Welcome to the club. We're all dealing with something, right? We're all dealing with some kind of issue. So if your idea of getting in a relationship with someone is dealing with their issues, and that's your framing of what it means to be in a relationship, then you're absolutely right. You don't have time for that, and you will not get in a relationship. You will not have a good relationship with whoever you might already be with and saying that. And, anything that you want is going to be out of that belief. So there's the top 10 that we share, right? Those are the top 10 that we sit around the table and, have a glass of wine and get into and let that be the truth. So let's talk about now the top 10 that we don't really share. The top 10, maybe with our closest girlfriends, but the top 10 that really is what's really going on deep down inside, and it hurts to talk about it a little bit. We don't really want to say it because that pain is there. Let's talk about those. So here's the first of the owie, the secret, I call them the secret beliefs. They're like owie, they hurt when I say them. It doesn't feel good. It brings up all my stuff, all my emotional stuff that I don't really want to talk about. I don't really want to deal with. I don't want to share with anybody because I got this tough, I got this nutshell that I'm in, this hard exterior. The first one is, I do not trust men, or most people for that matter. So this trust thing, many of us, and I won't say all of us, but many women that I deal with, and I deal with a lot of women who are a lot like myself and how I was and where I was, and don't trust anybody else to do anything. Want to be in control of everything. I plan my own birthdays. I plan my own outings. I plan everything in my life to within an inch of its life. If someone works for me or with me, I dictate what they need to do and how they need to do it. If they don't do it right, I'm either a complete bitch when I confront them about it, or I'm talking about them behind their back. I'm judgmental about it because I just don't trust anybody to do it like I would do it. And when it comes to relationships with men, if they don't call me after a couple of days, all of a sudden my trust is shattered, my abandonment issues come up, and nothing can work out from this space of thinking that no one is going to come through for me. And if I'm not doing it and manipulating it and making it into what I think it should be every moment, it's all going to fall apart and go to shit, and I'm going to end up heartbroken, which I already am, which is why I don't trust anybody. Sound familiar? Anyway, it's the experience that I had. And what I do know is that from that space of heartbroken and mistrust, it didn't work out before, so it's not going to work out again. I perpetuated the same thing over and over and over and over again, and none of it was happiness. And then the next one is, I have absolutely no idea how a good relationship would actually be. I just need to be in control. Very similar to the first, right? So we think we know what a relationship should look like, or what it might look like, or what a man is supposed to do. We get a lot about, what people are supposed to do if they like you, and what's supposed to happen, and what the rules are around all of that stuff. But we have no idea what a good relationship would be, because without the clarity, the authentic clarity of knowing what it is that's going on in here, and having that all cleared up so that it can attract from an open, lovely space, an open, vulnerable, authentic space. We're just going by what we've seen in romantic movies, or what our big sister told us about, what a guy should do, or what chivalry is supposed to look like, or, all of that stuff. It's just some random mishmash of rules that we think it's maybe supposed to be, but we have no idea. And a good relationship is whatever you define it to be with another partner, and that involves both people there to contribute. That's a good relationship, an agreement that this is what we're about. This is what we're trying to achieve. And we both agree, and we're both there to contribute to that. Sounds fantastic, right? Here's another one. If I let go of what I have, I may never get another chance. So a lot of times we don't necessarily share this with people. It's in our darkest moments or after we've had a few drinks and we're sitting around with our best girlfriend. I'm holding on to this relationship because if I let it go, I may never have another opportunity. Especially as we get older, we tend to believe that. We tend to believe that we'll never have another, yes, never have another opportunity. It's so dramatic, so sad. But think about this, ladies. In the infinites, is infinites a word? In the infinites of life and the infinites of possibility, even if you are 65 years old, what you've experienced and what you know is 65 years worth of your circle, your little microcosm of life. And if what you're telling yourself is that anybody that you meet is your last chance saloon, this is my last watering hole, there'll be nothing after this because everything's going to dry up and I'll never be able to connect with anyone else, that's exactly what's going to happen. Because you believe it and not for any other reason. Because you're going to manifest it by believing it. If you really, really think that my last relationship, I definitely was in that. I definitely was like, oh, you're in your 40s. He's going to be the last one. Your looks are fading, honey. He's going to be the last one. You got to hold on to him. And no matter what kind of shitty thing he did, no matter what we went through, I really had it that I just wasn't going to have another love after him. Now, granted, I'm not necessarily in a relationship now, but I do have a love after him because I got to learn how to love myself, like really love myself, like for real. Like really, really do that and really be happy and generate happiness and just experience myself as somebody who is connected and intimate and, that doesn't have to put up with abuse, doesn't have to put up with anything. I don't have to settle for anything because it's my last chance to what? Be in an abusive relationship. My last chance to gain weight because I'm stressed out. My last chance to be burdened and feel like it's gonna be drudgery for the rest of my life. For all I know, I'm gonna live to be 105 years old. For all you know, you're gonna live to be 105 years old. If you're really thinking that in your 30s, 40s, 50s, 60s, that somebody that you're with, that you're not happy with, is going to be your last chance, give yourself a break, honey. Because let me tell you something, once you get through this heartbreak thing, you'll know that your chances out there are infinite. And there's going to be so many fantastic people that you attract. And if you're willing to release and let go of what does not serve you, that's going to let in all the things that do. And all the things that you're going to be able to serve, which is, the pinnacle of happiness. Here's another one. Incompetence frustrates and annoys me, and I'm really mean about it. So this one goes back to the control thing too, and it goes back to the trust thing. But that thing that we tend to do, and you can tell me if you do it. If you don't, then don't tick it off. Don't check it off. It's not one of yours. It's that thing that we do where it's like, we are so critical and so judgmental, and our inner voice is critical and judgmental already. So we give ourselves a hard time. And if we're giving ourselves a hard time, we definitely give other people a hard time. Because if you're not giving yourself a break, you're certainly not giving anybody else a break. And when you see people performing behaviors that you would never, like, I don't do that, never. Definitely, that's when we get into judgmental mode. Like, look at her, look at him. Why would he even do that? How come he doesn't have manners? How come he didn't know to hold the door open for me? How come this? How come that? And all of that judgment and incompetence, it's just so frustrating. And out of that, we get bitchy, we get mean, we get not connective. There's no authenticity, there's no vulnerability. There's just, you're not what I want. There's just, you're not enough. I'm not enough. You're not enough. Nothing's enough. And that's one of those very secret beliefs that we don't tend to tell people. We don't tend to say, oh, I'm too frustrated with your incompetence. I just can't. And maybe sometimes we do when we're, in complete bitch mode, or maybe at work. I've done that at work, actually. Maybe didn't use those words, but I can definitely go back in the history of, when I was career girl, not working for myself and, not trying to make it happen on my own. I definitely have said to people things that suggested that whatever it was about them personally was not enough. And I'm ashamed to admit it, but I wasn't a nice person when I was in that mode. And I wasn't fun to work with. And let me tell you, sister, if you're doing that, you're not fun to work with. You're not fun to work with if your inner belief is that you can't deal with anyone's incompetence and that someone's incompetent because they don't know what you think they should know, whether it's a man you're dating or the people at work or the people in your family or whatever area of your life. Here's another one. I think I'm too old, fat, damaged, jaded, fill in your blank to have an easy love life. So, like with all the other beliefs, if you really are walking around with that belief, you got to think, how is that showing up on the outside? If I'm walking around too old, too fat, too damaged, too jaded, too mean, too this, too whatever, if that's the story in my head, how is that showing up when I meet other people? If I meet a new guy, if I meet, a new friend, if I meet a boss, if I meet and someone who's interviewing me for a job, how is that showing up? Trust me, it looks like crap. And it all comes from operating from heartbreak. Because the story of being too old, too fat, too damaged, too jaded, too whatever, that comes from not having healed whatever's going on. It's just, I'll make the connection for you later. Let's just get through these beliefs. I think I may be an addict. If you are using food, drink, smoke, gambling, shopping, any number of things, if you're using those things to feel better, if you're using them to mask over what's really going on with you, if you're using them to placate your tears, to self medicate, to take care of your depression and anxiety symptoms on your own, I'm not saying that you are an addict. What I'm saying is that there's heartbreak in there that's not been dealt with. I've done it myself, definitely with food, years ago with smoking cigarettes. Not much of a drinker, not since college, but sugar. Sugar is a big one. If you're doing that, there's a whole space right here in your heart that you're just not letting, you got to feel it to heal it. And if every time you start to feel the pain of the past, the pain that comes up, if you grab something to drink or something to smoke, you grab your credit card, whatever is your drug of choice, your medication, your self-medication of choice, it just doesn't get a chance to heal. Now, there's no judgments here. I mean, obviously, if you really feel like you have real addiction and you're at a space where you're ready to admit it, treatment would be the thing to do. But if you're at a space where it's just a concern for you, you're worried that it's going down that road, it's just, it's a good idea to just take a look and just see, is it possible that there's something that I'm ignoring here? Instead of feeling this pain, which I keep, trying to mask over or put a band-aid on in some way, is there something that I'm missing? And why do I feel like it is not safe just to feel my pain? Why is it not safe to just cry the tears or be angry? Why is it not safe for me? It all comes out of the heartbreak. I've been there, sister. Trust me. I know what you're feeling. Here's another one. I have no idea how to choose a man, and I'm afraid to even try after failing so much. So that's a belief that we tend to keep secret, like that we feel like we're failures at love because a relationship didn't work out. Here's the thing about relationships not working out. And it's kind of a cliche, people are in our lives for a reason, a season, a lifetime. But, when you attract someone from a space of not being healthy and whole and loving yourself, knowing yourself, being authentic, it's not meant to last. That person is there to be a motivation, an inspiration, a stepping stone. Women who escape an abusive relationship, women who are fortunate enough to have some dickhead just ghost. And when the douchebags ghost, trust me, they are doing you such a favor. If you're fortunate enough to have somebody come into your life and even just wreak havoc on it, trust me, just wreak havoc. When they walk away or when you're ready to release them and ready to look at it for what it is, there's so much healing to be had. There's just so much to get out of that. So it's not that you have no idea how to choose a man, because it's not really about going out there and choosing one. It's about you don't know how to be in a good enough relationship with yourself that you allow someone to share in your authenticity and your vulnerability without fear of that, because the heart is not healed. That's it. I'm going to say it a million times. I know I've already said it a million times, but it's what I do. What's another one? I actually hate it when people try to give me advice. Now, if this is true of you, if this is a belief that you have, a secret belief that you have, you might have already turned off this video, so you might be missing this part. If deep down you want to feel like you already know it all and you've got it all figured out and you hate for people to try to tell you how to fix it, or what might make it better, if that's something that you find yourself loathing, I know for me, I'm somewhat of a lone wolf, or I have been, and I hate it when people just assume I don't know things and that they need to explain it to me. That's common because you work so hard, we get educated, we do all these things, we get accomplished, and then, here comes somebody, a lot of times a man, but sometimes other women, who's, condescending or assuming you don't know things for whatever reason, and, giving advice and doling it out, and, whatever. People want to be expert on a lot of things. I myself love to be an expert. I love to be a love expert. But if your idea is that no one can contribute to you because you've already got it figured out, but it's not working, it's something to look at, because there's an incongruency there. Like, clearly, if you're lone wolfing it and it's not working out, it's time to start listening to somebody. Now, maybe, you don't want to just listen to anybody. Some people will tell you a lot of bullshit. But it is time to open yourself up to what you can learn and be willing to listen. You don't have to take on everything people say. But that is one secret belief that we hold on to. Like, I don't want to, we won't say, oh, I don't want to hear it. Oh, sometimes we will. But, we don't walk around necessarily saying that. But inside, that's what we're saying. And that's what comes out as soon as someone says, oh, well, you should try, or you should try that. Or, here's some good advice, or here's this. But we'll Google it, and we'll try to go it alone, and we'll try to figure out all the self-help stuff and then try to do it ourselves and think that we're going to affect a major change. Sometimes it does help us out a little bit, but what we end up with is a lot of tips and tricks and that still unhealed heart that prevents us from actually being able to experience fully and get intimate and get connected. What else? Here's another one. I'm really sad a majority of the time. That's such a secret belief that we don't tell people. Maybe our therapist sometimes will mention that. Hopefully, if you have a therapist, you are letting them know that you're sad most of the time, because sad most of the time is not an acceptable condition. If you're sad most of the time, there's definitely things to be looked at. And if you're sad most of the time, there's a story going on in your head, a story of doom that is preventing you from being able to generate something different. And that's not to negate that, yes, in real life, bad things happen all the time. And you might be sad about a particular thing. But like, I want to say it's Tony Robbins who says that pain is inevitable, suffering is a choice. Or Jim Rohn might have said it, and then Tony Robbins started saying it. I don't know. But if you're sad most of the time, if you're fearful most of the time, if you're angry most of the time, there's stories going on in your head that are fear stories and stories of judgment and stories of criticism that have you making your life wrong and not giving yourself a break. And then the very last one that we never tell anybody because we think we attach so much drama to it. And I've said it already a million times. When deep down inside we know and we can say, my heart is irreparably broken. So that is the top secret belief. And it almost makes me emotional because I don't want any of you out there to be walking around feeling like that. I know what it feels like to feel like that. I know what it feels like to try to get yourself up out of that feeling and try to move through life and do what you need to do, feeling like you're just broken on the inside, just broken. And you don't have to be, is what I'm telling you. It's what I'm here for. So how did you do with all of these? These are 20 beliefs basically that I gave you. How did it go? How many of them did you check off? Even if you checked off one of them, It is a symptom that you are operating from a space of heartbreak, and it is perpetuating your love struggle. I have a downloadable PDF, which if you're actually on the page, you can go ahead and download that for free, and that's all of those beliefs all written out. You can look over it again and see if it really resonated with you, and kind of know what the deal is with that. So the thing is that, if you ticked off all 20 of them, like, it's not your fault. The reason we develop these beliefs is because our culture conditions us to think that there's some ideal, there's some fairy tale, there's some thing that we're supposed to be doing with love, but it never actually teaches us what that is. It just, we get these sound bites and bits and movies and, other relationships that we see, and we kind of have to piecemeal together like what all of it really is. And no one teaches us how to be in a relationship. No one teaches us how to love ourselves. No one teaches us how to be healthy, have a healthy emotional state, to have our emotional state support our romantic state, to have our emotional state support our career. No one teaches us how to do that, which is exactly why I'm doing what I'm doing. That's my purpose. That's why I came along in the world, to teach us how to do that. So let me see. I think it is time for the 5 steps. But first of all, before we do the 5 steps, we're going to have to look at the love grid. The love grid, which I'm putting up on the screen right now, it should be over here somewhere. The love grid is going to show you how to, well, it's not going to show you how. You're actually just going to identify exactly where you are on it. And, as you can see, there's different choices up the side and across the bottom. Whether you're single or in a relationship, there's that whole spectrum. You're suicidal or you're ecstatically happy. So find where you are right now on the love grid. Maybe you're in some kind of entanglement with somebody who's, never going to get off the fence, is not going to propose to you. Maybe you just started dating somebody. Maybe you're in the dating scene and you're having fun and it's great, but you know that ultimately you're going to want to be in a relationship one-on-one and, have a big commitment and all that good stuff. So locate where you are right now on the love grid. Hopefully you've printed it out and it's in front of you. And then locate where you want to be on the love grid and draw a line between point A and point B. I personally would like to be ecstatically happy and in a relationship. And I am currently at single and pretty satisfied. So that is my line to be drawn. And and I'm going to use the 5 steps to get there. So, and that's another thing too. At any given moment, we are in transition because no matter what we have, we always want the next thing. When I was in a bad relationship, there was nothing I wanted more than to be single again. I wanted to be single again and I wanted to be happy. And so I used the 5 steps to get from in a bad relationship to single again. And I don't care what anybody says. That's why I go back to how much I hate that get a man to be happy narrative. Being single and even just moderately satisfied is a hell of a lot better than being in a bad relationship and feeling miserable or feeling bad about yourself. It is a hell of a lot better. So I use the 5 steps to go from there to here. And now I'm going to use the 5 steps to go from there to there. So figure out where you are now, figure out where you want to be, and then let's talk about what the 5 steps are. Are you ready? Are you ready for the 5 steps? All right, let's do this. So number 1, you've already done. Number 1 is to get clear about where you are in your love life right now, and then identify where you want to be. Now, I actually think that what we did with this love grid exercise is just sort of like a Cliff Notes version of really doing that. But I think it's important to just be willing to just get really self-aware, very honest with yourself. Like, where am I right now? What's going on with my love life right now? What am I experiencing? And no matter how bad you think it is, no matter what kind of story you're telling yourself about how bad it is, just write it down. Write it down. Like, I am in this relationship and basically it sucks. I'm not happy. Or I've been single for 5 years and I spend most of my weekends on the couch eating potato chips and I'm, in a comfort zone but not satisfied. Whatever it is, like, go ahead and write that out on a piece of paper and then do the same thing with where you want to be. And you know what? Do it without limits. Like, don't tell yourself, oh, all those beliefs we talked about. Don't talk about like the statistics, the not enough men out there, and I'm too fat, and all of that stuff. Don't even let any of that enter in. Try to just write it from a space of, I have a magic wand. I really do. I have a magic wand and I am going to wave it and I'm going to have, and it looks like a number 2 pencil, yes. And I'm going to have exactly what I want in my love life. And this is what it's going to look like. It's going to be loving and supportive, and we're going to have things in common, and we're going to build an empire. And it's going to be wonderful. Like, I want you to be Glenda the Good Witch and write out whatever you'd like to have in your relationship, exactly what you want it to be like. And be very specific. And just say what it is. You guys have read The Secret. You know about law of attraction. You've read enough self-help to know how to do this without putting limits on it, without putting negativity on it, without putting your shame story on it. Oh, I've been through too much. Oh, I've had sex with too many guys for a decent guy to want me. Like, just all of that stuff, just put it aside for a second. Just like take it off your back, off your little backpack of bad beliefs and self-sabotage and emotional crap. Let's just take that off like a backpack and put it on the side and actually just write a list of exactly what I want. If I am whole, perfect, and complete, and I'm writing this list from a place of feeling like I am whole, perfect, and complete, what is exactly what I would ask for, because I feel like I deserve it, not in an entitled way, but in a human way, because we all do, because we all are love. Don't let me get on my soapbox. So you get clear about that, and then try to identify what's standing in your way between what you have and what you want, and why those are 2 different things. This is all still step 1. Try to identify what you feel is standing in your way. Now, once you do identify that, you want to write that down too. And then you start to look at, why is that standing in my way? Why have I let that stop me? What is it that I would need to overcome in order for it to not stand in my way anymore? Just get present to it. Just, you don't have to do anything. Don't worry. Like, don't get upset. Don't start to feel like you have to make a move right now. Just, why is this thing standing in my way? Why has it been standing in my way? And, what can I do about it? You don't have to do anything yet, but just what can I do about it? That's step 1. Step 2, make peace with the past so that you can give yourself and other people a break from all of your shoulding and shaming and all of their shoulding and shaming. So, when we are walking around with the unforgiven, and the unforgiven can be past people that have hurt us, that we're still holding on to, things that we've done that we haven't forgiven ourselves for, things that we've been through, or actions that we took that we regret, unforgiven, or being angry at our parents about stuff. This is kind of deep stuff. I gotta say, like, it's not easy stuff. It's not, text the man the right sexy text message. It's not, what to say when he calls. It's not on that level, which that stuff's important. But without this, if you haven't done this stuff, none of that is sustainable. That stuff is just, it's like a Snickers bar, when what you really need is like a full meal, like you need real food. I've heard another love coach say that. She's actually a good one, but I can't remember her name. Anyway, but that's what that is. Like, there's all those tips and tricks and things like that. This is the real deep transformational stuff. You can listen to all those, and there's some really like prolific, very good looking ones out there. The male love coaches who work for women, and there are a lot of great YouTube videos, and they have all these great tips and tricks and things like that. But, one thing that they don't touch upon really, because they don't really have the frame of reference, is that if the heart healing hasn't been taken care of, that real heart healing and the relationship with the self isn't a loving, connected relationship, all those tips and tricks are not sustainable. You can attract, whatever with all those tips and tricks. You can have an experience, but is it the experience that's right for you, that you really want, that's authentically intimate, connected, what you really want to experience? That comes out of really being willing to like do the work, the connectedness work. And it doesn't mean just getting connected to the one you love. It means getting connected to everybody in your life, knowing how to do that, knowing how to have intimacy with other people. knowing how to, be in a community of people. That one's coming up. So make peace with the past, go through a forgiveness process. I teach a forgiveness process, of course, that's what we're here for. Number 3, identify and break up with all the BS that doesn't serve you. So all those beliefs we talked about and all the behaviors that come out of those beliefs, it's time to break up with all of that BS. It's time to write a breakup letter. Like, thank you so much, overeating, for all that you have done to keep the fat on my body so that I could protect myself from going out of my comfort zone and actually living the love life that I want. And I could get agreement from other people that until I lose the weight or until I feel comfortable with my body, I don't have to make any effort to have what I want. Thank you for doing that for me, but I don't need you anymore. I'm ready to have a happy, exciting love life. I'm ready to be engaged in my life and embrace it and really have a great time. I don't need you anymore, but thank you. I want you to write that letter to all the bullshit that's not serving you. And if you're not having what you want, everything you're doing around your love life right now, whatever you're telling yourself, whatever shame stories, however you're making yourself wrong, whoever you're making fun of for wearing the wrong shoes, all of that stuff is all the BS that's not serving you. It's not serving you. I don't know any other way to say it. I love you with all my heart. I don't want you to feel bad. I don't want to shame you and make you wrong. But you got to be able to recognize the difference between what is working and what is not working. And if you don't have what you want right now, it's not working. So it's identifying the BS and breaking up with it. Number 4 is to develop daily rituals that not only take care of yourself, self-care, but also recondition your mindset. So if you're not already meditating and doing yoga and, reading things or listening to things that are feeding into reconditioning your mind and reconditioning yourself out of those shitty beliefs, if you're not already doing that every day and you don't feel like you can be accountable for doing that every day and you're trying to go it alone, or you're trying to do it, but because you're going it alone, you don't have any sort of support or accountability partner or anything like that, and so it's not working for you, then that's something to look at. That is part of what will get you through this process from heartbroken to happy. These 5 steps are getting you from one place to another, whether it's, single and miserable in a relationship and happy, or in a relationship and miserable and single and happy. That's the crisscross on the grid. Wherever it is you're trying to get to on that grid, these are the 5 steps, and you need accountability. You cannot, my sister, you cannot, my love, my sweet, sweet lone wolf love, you can't do it by yourself. I convinced myself for years that I could do it by myself. I have a close friend of mine. She's wonderful. She can tell you every transformation person there is out there. She can tell you every self-help book, and she's out there trying to do it by herself. So in as much as she cognitively understands all of it, because, I know you're intelligent women, she's an intelligent woman, I'm an intelligent woman, walked around with this information for years and didn't know how to apply any of it because it's meant to interact with people. You're meant to have people, and that's where the 5th one comes in. You got to join a like-minded community. And I'm not saying like a cult, one of us. I'm not saying like that. What I'm saying is that, especially with women, we are communal and we're social, and the way that we thrive is through the support of each other. If you want to learn how to be in a relationship with someone, if you want to learn how to have a great relationship with yourself, which sounds crazy because you're having a relationship with yourself, but you don't want to be a lone wolf, you need support with knowing how to treat yourself right. You need support with knowing how to have a great experience in a relationship. Without a community, being out there trying to do it all by yourself and trying to figure out why you're self-medicating and why things aren't working, and, trying to bounce it off your girlfriends who think the same way you do, which, bless their heart. I'm sure they love you. I'm sure you're very lovable and they're wonderful and they're very lovable, but it's the blind leading the blind. Like, nobody knows what to do. So everybody's believing the same bullshit and coming out with the same experience. And even if they do have different relationship statuses, trust me, if they're believing what you're believing, they're having the same experience that you're having, because it's not about what's going on the outside, it's about what's going on the inside. So that is the 5 steps to go from heartbroken to happy. Now, don't you stop this video, because I know you feel like, oh, I got my value, I'm done, let me go. I would like to invite you to stick around a little bit longer so I can tell you about my virtual workshop and a way that you can have and do all of the things in these 5 steps with the support that you need, and have it be an easy process, a loving process, a process that you don't have to try to go alone. Not like another diet where you start it in the first 3 days and then you're ready to quit because it's just too much because you're trying to do it by yourself. Like, if you really want these 5 steps to work, the idea of doing it in a bubble, trying to do it in a bubble, is not the smartest. I do not recommend it. Of course, it's your choice. So if you're ready to hop off this video and go and run and do your thing, I wish you love. I wish you blessings. But for those of you out there who are dead ass serious and have had it, don't want the heartbreak anymore, don't want the negative results, don't want the consequences, don't want to have to keep cleaning up relationships, don't want to have to be in a space of feeling bad all the time, and don't want to go back to being fetal and mainlining gelato and stuffing potato chips in your face. If that's where you're at and you've had it and you know that life is both short and long at the same time, long when you're miserable and short when you look back and realize that you spent all that time miserable. If you're at the point where enough is enough, I want to invite you to come and join this virtual workshop. And if you want to hear about it, stick on the video, stay on the video. I don't want to just force it on you or anything like that. But here's my recommendation, because this is where the meat is, and this is where my zone of genius is. I want to run this workshop, and I want to have, I only have 9 spots for the one that's coming up, and I have 10 spots in one coming up after that. I want 9 just powerhouse women who are ready to just make a difference in their lives. I want 9 women who are just so fired up about it that they're not going to let anything stand in their way. I want 9 women who are so clear about where they are and so clear about where they want to be that they want to work with me for 6 weeks virtually, a class a week, and just get this done and not have to experience what they've been experiencing up until now. I want 9 women who want a fire up under their ass and are ready to just sit. And it'll be very similar to like it is now, because it's virtual workshop. So we'll be doing it like on Google Hangouts or maybe Skype, I'm not sure. But it'll be just like this, framed up. You'll see me and you'll be on the screen too. And we'll have a class every week. It's 3 hours every Tuesday. That 3 hours goes by like it's nothing. Because once people get in there and they're doing the work and they're doing the shares, and you have your partners in there, you have accountability, and you're talking about what's going on with you, and you get a chance to work it out with your support community, the people who are speaking the same language, that time goes by like it's nothing. And I've done these workshops as a participant and as a coach, and as a participant in these workshops, I remember thinking, oh, how am I going to do this? It's so much time. But then when I was doing it, I was like, I craved the next class. I looked forward to it so much because it was healing me. And that healing space was something that I just knew I couldn't be without anymore. Like I couldn't live without it. So it's 6 weeks. Like I said, it starts on September 12th. So you want to get signed up right now. I want 9 powerhouse women. And let me tell you who this workshop is not for. It is not for people who don't invest in themselves, who feel like they want to keep going it alone. They got it all figured out and, it's no big deal. They're just going to, wing it. They don't want to make any kind of little sacrifices if they need to. Like, it's just, that's it. They're going to suck it up. They're going to keep trying to do what they want to do. And that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. There's most people are out there doing the ordinary thing. So, do you, sister. But this workshop is not for you. Like if you think that it's something that you might half-ass, not really. It's also not for people who don't understand the importance of emotional education. Like if you don't understand how important it is to not be operating through a broken heart, if you don't understand how important it is to condition your beliefs in a way that will have you win no matter what it is you're doing, if you don't have an emotional connection to how important that is, you don't want to take this workshop because it'll make you crazy. You'll be mad the entire time. It'll feel like a burden. You won't like it. If you don't want to see major shifts, if you don't want to see even minor shifts, if you don't want to have a different experience, if you're not ready to commit to a different experience, and if that word commit scares you, it should. But here's the thing, if you want to have a great relationship with yourself or anybody else, you do have to commit to it. And so it teaches you how to do that. And if you're not a committal person and that's how you identify yourself and you don't see yourself as any other possibility, this workshop is not for you. So, who is this? Oh, and also, if your love life is exactly where you want it to be and you're good, workshop's not for you. Now, who is this workshop for? This workshop is for the hungry and the fed up and the ready to make a change and the powerhouses who know that deep down inside they are not having the full potential of everything that they could have, who are very dead ass honest with themselves, um, that they know deep down they have the power, but they're just not tapping into it. This is for people who do understand the importance of investing in themselves because it's not a huge investment. I'll break that down for you in a little bit. And it's for women who they're so clear where they are, where they want to be, that they're ready to get out of their comfort zone a little bit. And as scary as it sounds, that they have no doubts that getting out of their comfort zone is gonna make it happen. I mean, not no doubts, of course. Getting out of your comfort zone, the reason it's scary is because you do have doubts. There's nothing wrong with having doubts about it, but there's something deep down in you that burns and says, I know that I can have this better. I know that I can have this be different. I know that I don't have to be suffering through my love life. I know I don't have to be suffering through my work life. I know I don't have to be suffering through life at all. That I can change this around and be a real force in my life and the lives of other people. You don't have to become some great saint or anything like that. Who else is this for? Um, I don't know. This is just, it's for if you're ready, man. Be ready. Be ready. I got 9 spots, so it's limited. I would say if you're watching this anytime, within the week before the 12th of September, you better get signed up because, by the time you're watching this, I don't know how many spots I'll have left. Maybe I'll put a counter or something. But, definitely sign up. It's definitely for you if you're ready to make a change, make a big change, and if you're ready to actually have what it is you want. If what you identified on that love grid is something that 100% you got to get to, then, let's do this. So let's talk about price. Let's talk about what the investment actually is. I can tell you what you're going to get first. I'm going to do that whole, cheesy sales thing. I'm going to tell you what you're going to get because I am offering a lot of bonuses. I usually do workshops live. This is the first one that I'm doing virtually. So already you're going to get like a decent price for that because it's not a live workshop. And also, I kind of want some international, some women from different places. We want to go global with this message. We want to go global with heart healing. Steps from heartbroken to happy. We want to go global with that. Because what a world we could have if most women went from heartbroken to happy. We're already powerful. But imagine if we were coming from a space of believing in our own power and knowing that we were whole, perfect, and complete. All right, I'm digressing. So you will get the class itself, which you can find the time and the date for, whichever class is coming up next. You can find that down below. And that will meet once a week for 6 weeks. You will also get the option to have a weekly one-on-one coaching call with me. So I'm saying there's very few spots in this class because it's very individualized attention. It's almost like having, doing a personal coaching program. As a matter of fact, it is if you really take advantage of it. It's actually a lot more expensive than doing a virtual workshop. So you'll get the option to have a weekly one-on-one call. If you're confronted by any of the work or if something comes up during the week in your accountability, you'll also get a call with your small group. There are coaches, there will be leadership within the actual workshop each week, and you'll get a call with them, and that's your accountability call to make sure that, throughout the week you are achieving the exercises. And they're not exercises that are going to take up a lot of your time because it's all stuff that you can do in real world. Like you're going to apply to your real world. So, you're not going to be sitting down doing a whole lot of homework, a lot of writing or anything like that unless you choose to. But it is about interacting with the world and, being able to connect with the world. And, as you're healing yourself, it is going to be about interaction. So you're not really going to have to do things that require a whole lot of your time, but you will have to require getting out of your comfort zone. So you're going to have accountability coaches that are going to help. When we get out of our comfort zone, it's a scary thing. So it's good to have somebody who will hold your hand. And that's what the accountability coaches are there for. You'll also get a 6-class pass if you live locally. You'll get a 6-class pass to my movement class called Love Sexy Yoga Lattes that I teach personally. Sometimes my assistant Zaria teaches, and that you will love because it's fantastic. It's a combination yoga, Pilates, sexy dance moves, and meditation. So that is part of transformation. It's part of self-care. It's a hard sweat. It's, interval style. So your heart rate gets up and then comes back down and gets back up again. So that's an amazing thing that you would love. Like I already said, the weekly small group coaching call and then the workshop itself. So, the one-on-one coaching call, a package with me for the amount of times that you have the option to use is about $2,000. A 6-class pass to Love Sexy Yoga Lattes is worth about $140. The weekly small group coaching call, if you were just having like the weekly, small group conference call each week, it's worth about $600. The workshop itself, for what I've put into it and the amount of time that I'm putting into it, it's valued at $2,500. The total of everything that you're going to get is worth $5,240. You aren't going to have to pay $5,240. And if you've ever watched one of these videos, these training videos, you know that because you never have to pay the first price they say. So you're not going to have to pay $5,240. You're not going to have to pay $4,000, $3,000. You're definitely not going to have to pay $2,000. You're not even going to have to pay $1,000 for this heart healing workshop. For this workshop, all you will have to pay is $899. That's the price of it. That's what I set it at. You're going to get all of the bonuses that go along with it. And like I said, it's for people who believe in investing in themselves. If you are in a money story right now where you're like, oh, I can't pay $899 to heal my heart, then you're one of those people that this workshop is not for. And that's okay. I love you. I wish you love. I wish you the best. I hope you stay on the newsletter because you'll get some information every now and then. And, if you want to keep lone wolfing it and letting things stand in your way, nothing wrong with it. But, you'll just keep getting the same thing that you're always getting. And, that's what most people do. So it's okay. But for those of you who are just like, I'm not letting money, I'm not letting any bullshit stand in my way. I'm healing my heart. Like, I'm actually going to do this. I'm taking one of these 9 spots because I deserve it. I finally deserve actually getting what I want in my love life. I finally deserve being able to navigate life in a way that's healthy for me. I deserve that. I deserve a community of women who will support me in that and speak my language. And yeah, I'm not going to let $8.99, which, how many pairs of shoes is that, depending on how much you spend on shoes, or, how 6 months of Starbucks or whatever that might equal out to for you. Is that not worth healing your heart? Is that not worth healing your life to a point where you can actually just have it be the way you want and come from a powerful place? I don't know. For me, it's worth it. I would do it in a second. But I actually just want those 9 powerhouse women, or 10, depending on, where we are in the count. I just want those powerhouse women who wouldn't let $8.99 get in the way of their healing and their success and love and what it is they truly want, and are tired of letting things get in the way. So that's that. Thank you so much. If you've stayed through the entire video, all I can say is thank you. It's been fantastic. Sharing this with you. Hopefully you got a lot of value just out of this video alone. Even if you're not ready to make the investment, I hope that you got a lot of value and things that you can take away and apply to your life. Mama's tired. I'm ready to go get something to eat. I don't know. I'm ready to finish this video, and wish you love and life. Make sure you check out the rest of the page if you're on the page. If you're on YouTube watching this, then I would like for you to click over into the funnel, and so you can get on the newsletter so you can see what's all offered written out down below. Yes, go over there. Don't be cheap. Anyway, I love you. Thank you for being here. I'm Candace Harper, Love Coach, leader of the Creative Love Collective, and I cannot wait to meet you. Thank you.